Well, I'd like to move along to one of our newer segments of the show, our anti-hero of the week, presented by Revolution Brewing. I'm not drinking an anti-hero. It is 11 a.m. It's Central or Eastern time, so it's a little early to be drinking. But I will be drinking a delicious anti-hero later this evening. Our anti-hero of the week is Joc Pederson, and I'm nominating him for several reasons. The anti-hero is, the hero we needed, but he's not the hero we needed, but the one we deserve, or however that quote goes. But not your typical way you look at a hero, but his numbers this offseason are just incredible. He's got,
Again.
yeah, there's a reason why he is named Joctober, nicknamed. Um, he's got 1100 OPS, 3 home runs, 9 RBI. I haven't updated those stats since last night, but I don't think he added much to them. But I think he's
No.
still over 1100 OPS. So, but just the legend of Joctober continues as he rakes in October, and he's just a strange guy. And I never, he just is not your picture of a typical baseball masher. I I never paid attention much to him. I knew the name before he came to the Cubs. He's with the Dodgers for whatever 5 years. Um, I never realized how pudgy he was until he became a Cub, and I didn't know anything else about him. I was just kind of surprised by that. And you look deeper into his numbers, and he was essentially a replica of Kyle Schwarber. We talked about in the offs or prior to the season. We talked about how he was almost an identical replacement to Schwarber, except for a much lower strikeout rate. Um, but now he's added to his interesting look by he's got a fucked up hairdo now. It's all jacked up and dyed weird colors. But the key ingredient to his look is the pearl necklace, and that is captured the nation's attention, as apparently kids all over the Atlanta area are now sporting pearl necklaces. I'm not sure the origins, and I'm not sure if he's ever really explained the origins other than just to be a fucking weirdo that he enjoys being. Granted, he's universally beloved. Like all his teammates love him. He's not a bad dude, but just a strange guy, I guess. The other part of his legend has grown is you could easily read his lips after each one of his home runs as he's running back into the dugout, just screaming, "I'm a bad motherfucker. I'm a bad motherfucker." The only other tidbits I know about Joc Pederson that I want to add is back to a Cubs connection to this podcast. He's famously stolen the bat of Anthony Rizzo.
That is
Or
true.
And I learned more about this week. He joked about it. Well, Rizzo, Anthony doesn't need it. He won't need it until next spring since he's already out of the playoffs. So who cares? But he's also procured the bats of Chris Bryant. Ian Happ on his podcast, The Compound, revealed that Joc is using Rizzo's bats against lefties and now Chris Bryant's bats against righties. So there's your Cubs connection there, and that's why many are crediting the Cubs for giving Joc Pederson these powers this year by stealing former Cubs bats for whatever reason. So it's working out well for Joc. Right now, they are 1 win away from the World Series. They did lose last night to the Dodgers, but now they're heading back to Atlanta, and we have a similar situation in the American League. But I think we should take a break before we get into a little discussion over what we've seen in the league championship series. Unless you had anything to add to our Jocktober discussion.
I did have one thing about the Jocktober
Yeah.
discussion, and it goes back to the kind of another reason he's an anti-hero in a way is because he pretty much he's very average in the regular season.
Yeah.
Like statistically this year is like 236 with 18 homers and 61 RBIs, but he was getting $7 million for that, which I don't know. Is that fitting? I don't know.
Mhm.
It's not like elite. The Sox offered him 10. And he said no, I don't want to play for you guys
Yeah, we
because
talked about that in the
and a
offseason. That
lot of it had to do with he knew his role as the White Sox was not going to be like starting. It was going to be
yeah,
platooned. And the Cubs were like, no, you can just start here. And
yeah.
that was, part of it. And obviously playing at Wrigley's is a treat.
Well,
So
I think your first
um,
point is much more, if he's got guaranteed playing time as a starter, that is so much more appealing than what the Sox were offering. So
yeah, so he
I
took
get
like
that.
3 million less. But to me, like Joc Pederson is the guy you want to pick up at the trade deadline because you
Mhm.
don't necessarily really want him on your team all year. And it's interesting. He's very streaky. Like I remember on the Cubs, I think he had like over a 7-day period at one point. He had like 5 home runs, and then he doesn't hit for like 2 weeks, and that's why he's so built for like a playoff series because he somehow is able to dial it in then, and he's a streaky hitter, and he just starts to rake in the playoffs, and he did it for the Dodgers, and he had some better seasons with the Dodgers where he ended up, but his like he ended up with like he had some I think 30 home run seasons with the Dodgers, but
Yeah.
then tailed off, which led to them not re-signing
Yeah,
him.
being
So
expendable.
yeah, he's and like you said, everyone loves him on the teams. They think he's a totally fun teammate to have there.
Yeah.
But if you're a fan and you're dealing with him all season and you don't make the playoffs, you don't really reap the benefits of having Joc Pederson on your team.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
the Braves
kind
did
of
it perfect.
yeah.
Traded for him at the deadline and now are reaping the benefits, but
So yeah, he's a interesting fella and just
I've
a
seen you in a couple Twitter battles this week about Joc Pederson, as it seems like a
oh
lot of White Sox
uh,
fans want him to come to the South Side
well,
still.
that was like weird. Like it's like people forgot that he wants nothing to do with a platoon situation. And
Yeah.
again, the point I made, which is we'll talk about more later on in the upcoming weeks, is why would you go out and spend money on an average player when you have above average talent to fill that position? And I don't I hate the mentality of fans or even organizations that do this sometimes, and sometimes they're doing it because they just want to put people in the seats. Sox don't
Mhm.
have to really worry about that at this point, but like don't just sign someone for the sake of signing a name. I
Yep.
mean, you almost kind of saw
Like
that in a
Adam
way
Eaton.
with like Adam Eaton.
Yeah.
Like they thought he was going to bring some veteran presence that was needed, and it turned out his services weren't needed after a month and a half.
Nobody needs a Spanky.
Yeah, no one needs a Spanky. So Spanky Part Two was nice and abbreviated, but yeah. So like, my point is the outfield candidates are not like all gangbusters. There's very limited choices that are going to get you more production than what you have in house. So why not just stay there?